Hey, friends.
Hi, friends.
Hello.
I'm so excited about how good a mood we're all in. I just got choked up.
Oh, my God.
Is Mercury still in retrograde?
Definitely.
Yes.
Oh, haven't felt it this week as much as I did last week.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
good.
I know why. Because there was the eclipse. Something else that happened that threw off my game a little bit.
Mhm.
I was tired during the eclipse.
So tired.
I'm tired today.
Out of nowhere.
I've been tired.
Have you?
Did you sleep okay last night?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I have a front desk.
Oh, yes.
Are we gonna say who's? I never know how we start these. I'm not on enough of them.
I don't know, Jess.
I don't know.
Jessica's here, checking in, reporting for duty.
Jessica's here. Jeannie's here.
Matt's here.
All right.
Front
Roll
desk.
call.
Wow, that was so much better than your clap.
That was. That was so weird. All right, maybe we should just start doing what they do at Yankee Stadium.
Oh, what do they do? at
Every home game, right?
Mhm.
And this is going on for 20 years at least. It's called roll call. So like the first inning when the Yankees take the field,
Uh-huh.
in the bleachers, someone, I don't know how it started, they start chanting everyone on the field's name. So they'll start, I don't know where, but I think
Sounds really extra.
right field they start is Aaron Judge.
Uh-huh.
So like Aaron Judge, Aaron Judge. And they keep chanting it until he either like waves, acknowledges, tips his cap, until the player acknowledges them. Then they move on to the next person.
Okay.
And this is just a thing. Like I remember they doing this for Jeter. Like, and he retired 15 or not 15, maybe 8, 9 years ago. So should we just do that? Where it's like, Jeannie, Jeannie, Jeannie.
And I say
Here.
Yeah, there you
here,
Okay.
present.
go. You just, any sort of acknowledgement was good.
Yeah, but if people are just listening to it on audio, they can't see my
It's
They
true.
don't know.
salute acknowledgement.
Right. So like, well, then what happened is all the fans would cheer. It'd be like,
This is so silly.
yes, it is.
Sports ritual is funny.
It is.
I do love
Um,
it though.
So Matt and Jeannie and Jessica are all here.
We are.
What is your front desk?
We learned something cool this morning, laying in bed looking at Instagrams, I think, where apparently every astrological sign has a power color.
Okay.
And I don't remember all of them.
But do you remember our 3?
Yes.
That's all that's important.
That's all that matters. So Exhibit A is the Virgoian power color, which is brown, which Matt is wearing because upon learning this, like a Virgo, he went out and purchased something that was brown today.
Mainly because it was this was going to be just a bit, because once I learned it was brown, I'm like, I'm going to go to Walmart and buy like a $10 sweatshirt, like with no hood, just bare bones, goofiest
Like a
sweater.
grandpa
Like the
sweatshirt.
Hanes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like I was looking for even a darker color brown, but it's April. There's no
Right.
more winter stuff out, so this
Mhm.
is all they had. But they did have a sweet brown hoodie.
Looks good on
Looks
you.
good, yeah.
Right?
You're rocking
Yeah.
it.
And I feel amazing.
Well, power color.
Uh-huh.
Power color. I am unbeatable today.
So I shared it with him and I was like, oh, power colors. And then because our phones are tracking and listening to everything that we do, he comes out of the bathroom and is like,
Jesus Christ, is where I was important?
everybody knows you go to the bathroom.
Never does he ever.
He comes out of the bathroom and he's
God.
like, our phones are listening. And it's this thing of Tiger Woods
Tiger Woods explaining,
talking about
because every Sunday of a tournament,
he wears red.
wears red shirt with black pants.
Mhm.
Like,
And is he a Leo?
he said Capricorn.
Capricorn.
Capricorn,
So
okay.
the Capricorn power color is red.
Uh-huh.
And he tested it out. So like his mom told him this, that the Capricorn power color is red. And he was like, whatever, and wore blue and lost.
Right.
And
did-
then has
did-
worn red ever since then.
He's worn red, and then he won. So he's like, I guess I got to wear red every Sunday.
Yeah.
Pretty funny.
Now you're going to be sad because black is the power color of Scorpio,
Okay.
which makes sense.
Sure.
However, I feel like this is your second runner up in the color category, maybe third, but Aquarius power color is blue.
Okay. I can rock it.
Yeah.
I can handle blue.
That's why every
mean-
time you wear like that blue
I
flower dress that you have.
prefer it to be black and then probably purple,
I know.
as
Yeah.
you can note.
That's why I said it was
But
second,
blue,
maybe
yeah,
third.
Blue. Blue's good. Blue's good.
Blue's a good color.
All right.
Yes. I'm never taking this off, by the way.
Jesus Christ.
I am going to wear it. That's why this is a medium, too. I can't believe it fits this well.
Did they not have a large?
They had a medium, a small, and a 3X. I'm like, that one I was swimming in. I couldn't
Okay.
pull that one off.
Okay.
You tried.
I did.
You tried,
I'm like,
yeah.
this is
Yeah.
this is beyond
like-
ridiculous. But I wore this. I'm like, oh, all right.
Mhm.
Interesting.
know.
I mean, a cut fit is kind of where it's at.
I know.
Well,
Who
that's good to
knew?
know because like I never buy you anything smaller than an extra large.
Which you should. This is very unusual. Continue to
Right.
do that,
Okay.
please.
I will.
Thank you.
All right. So that was my front desk.
It's good.
Fun, which is everyone should look up their power color
I mean,
according to their astrology because
It's
it's
been-
fun.
an hour and a half, and I feel I'm unbeatable.
You feel powerful.
I feel we're gonna win tonight in trivia.
Okay.
I
All
feel
right.
it. It's gonna be awesome.
I love it. You definitely have to wear your power color on trivia nights.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
But that's going to impact the Hawaiian shirt game.
You know what I'm gonna do? This is what earned me the nickname Charlie Brown in college, is because I had a T-shirt
And a sweatshirt.
that had my college across the chest. It was a gray T-shirt in college just across the chest, and I had a sweatshirt with the exact same thing. And not often. There was one time where I wore them both at the same time, and this was like my friends were like, "You're like Charlie Brown. Why do you wear the same thing every day?" I'm like, "I do not. I barely wear the sweatshirt." And then we were hanging out one night, and I was like, "Ooh, it's getting warm in here." I took off the sweatshirt, and I was wearing the T-shirt underneath. And yeah, everyone thought that was funny.
This is going to be your new Charlie Brown outfit.
I just have to find a T-shirt that matches.
Dear God.
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh, this is bringing back memories. There's this picture of you where you're holding baby Thea,
Oh yeah,
and
like
Thea's Matt's niece.
14 years ago.
Yeah, and you're wearing a brown,
Yeah, dark brown.
like LL Bean t-shirt.
Yeah.
It's a smoking hot picture.
It's a good look. I am way
So-
less gray. I'm 30 pounds lighter, and that shirt is form-fitting in all the right places, namely my shoulders and traps.
I'm gonna just say that the 30 pounds in the gray only add to your cuteness. So
Thank you.
that's my personal
Thank
opinion
you
on that
for
one.
the answer that you have to because of the ring on your finger.
It's not true. I
not
actually
true.
get to be the most critical.
And I
also
actually
true.
I was thinking, no, Jeannie likes this version. Just as
Yeah.
much, if not more.
If not more. If not more. But what are we here to talk about today?
You guys are here to explain. I've only watched this happen. I wasn't involved in this process. I'd watched you guys do it.
You were
definitely
100%
involved
involved in
Yeah,
this process.
But I didn't.
Begrudgingly some days. I have photo evidence.
I
You
think,
do. It's opening and running
Mhm.
a yoga studio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I did none of the phone calling, people talking to, I don't know, logistics, all the things I don't want to do. I mean, I did like some lifting and moving and putting together,
You were the
Yep.
brawn.
which
Yep.
that was my.
We were the brains.
That's fair. That's absolutely right.
It's true. As far as opening the yoga studio
Yeah,
goes. That was,
1,000%.
that
That's
was
the
the division
role
of
I
labor.
wanted to be in.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sort of.
I mean, if I had to pick one or the other,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely. I'd rather
Mhm.
put together flower beds and move bookshelves instead of call landlords, call people, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, this happened. Was it in the summer?
Yeah, we started the
Like
process
June?
early summer.
Maybe spring, right?
Mhm.
Because it was. the
It
end
was
of
actually
June.
the week that we closed on our house.
That's right. We closed on a Wednesday,
And we
signed
signed
a lease
the
Thursday,
lease here
and then we
on like
moved-
that Thursday.
and then we
That's
moved
amazing.
Friday. It was a
Yeah.
busy week.
It
Because
was-
you guys didn't have enough going on buying a house.
We're like,
we
well,
were like,
Uh-huh.
let's
it's
add
like
to this
Wednesday
list.
and Friday are slammed. Thursday's dead, so we could probably throw a whole thing in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was the signing. I mean, you want to say at least a month or so before that was the searching and looking and stuff like that, right? So
Well, I don't even know. There wasn't really much searching and looking. It
Yeah.
was a little.
that's right.
It was
Like,
fortuitous. It was serendipitous.
'Cause you guys-
It was a drive-by.
right.
Drive-by
Just
viewing.
because
like,
it
yeah.
was
Yeah.
available for so long, and
Mhm.
it's on the main road through to get to downtown to where we used to work or where we lived at the time. So it was like we passed it every day almost. So
Well, you know what's funny is I think that this building was empty probably like halfway through 2020.
Probably right.
Yeah.
I think it
Um,
shut down early in the pandemic.
mhm.
Yeah, there was a bar studio here, and they closed down, and they closed the studio space. And
BARRE
yeah, not a bar
bar
of
Oh.
drinking.
studio.
I was, while I knew it probably wasn't that. What is BARRE? What does that mean?
It's like a workout involving a dance bar, like a ballet bar.
Oh, that goes on the wall.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like we have in the back.
Oh, yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
So
Oh, shoot.
we drove past. I drove past
You
a
drove
million
past.
times,
Yeah.
and every time I would think about it, like, okay, we. My opinion is that we needed a downtown space. Like, we needed to be centrally located, easy for people to get to, bus route, bike to, lots of parking, that
Yep.
kind of stuff, which is not the easiest thing to find in Ithaca. Like, there's a lot of downtown spaces, and the parking accessibility ground floor thing is not like plentiful for a reasonable monthly rental
Right.
rate. Would
And
you
for
say
the
that?
size that we need.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like the size and the setup that you need to have a yoga studio. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's probably like a decent amount of office space, some small like work studio places, but
Mhm.
not a
Big open
big
spaces.
open space studio.
So then the for rent sign was taken down.
I remember that.
And
yeah.
I drove by and I was like, like once it became a non-option, I was like, oh my God, we missed the best thing ever. Like, we totally missed out on this opportunity. And I was bummed.
Yeah.
And then like 5 days later, it was back up.
And then you were like, Jessica.
And then I sent you a, did I send you a
Screenshot. I
picture?
think you sent me, a picture of the front sign, and you were like,
Let's
this.
move. Yeah.
I was like, I
this.
think we need to rent this. Yeah.
and I did what I always do when you say I think we need to,
Uh-huh.
I said, okay.
Okay. It's true.
Yeah. I
It's
mean,
true.
honey, if you're first and second gear, Jessica's third and fourth gear. That's
Yeah,
what
she
it
just
is.
amps it right
Yeah.
up. She's like,
Let's go.
Did you like that sound effect?
It was great.
did
Oh,
it.
you did a sound effect.
I did a sound effect.
We have conversations where, in my experience, women tend to tell stories without sound effects, whereas men tend to tell stories with sound effects. To
And-
broad stroke it.
Stories with sound effects we've decided are a little bit funnier, right?
Oh,
Right.
it's
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
No, it is non-negotiable. It is almost fact at this point. It's not really an opinion.
So you know, if you're a woman that tells stories with sound effects, you're freaking funny.
You're funny,
real
right?
Freaking funny.
If you want to up your humor by 10, 15% without even trying,
At least for the males in your life.
sound effects.
But see, the thing is he'll on demand be like, do a sound effect, and I can't muster it. It doesn't work, but occasionally.
You just need to tell him to smile when he does that.
You should smile more.
You should really smile more.
Really smile.
Yeah, so you threw it into fourth gear, and
Mhm.
what had been happening leading up to this also was this consistent request of in-person things.
Right.
So we were teaching yoga at a local jewelry store outside in their property. We were teaching yoga at the downstairs of a bar that was, that's like in between typical bar hours. So we were trying to bring in-person yoga because people were like, we want to be in person. We want to be in person. We're sick of online. And teachers and former students, grads, employees were like, we want to teach in person. Like, where can we do this? So there was this energy around it
Totally.
of like, we were over this whole digital Zoom classes, all of that. And so that was definitely behind it. It was like, well, if we're going to move forward and come back to doing things in person, we need to jump on this opportunity of a space because it was already a movement studio space. So there was minimal stuff that had to happen. So
minimal is a loose term.
Right. I mean, the space.
in comparison to like if we found an empty dentist office.
Yeah, we
Right.
didn't really knock down any walls.
Right.
Yeah, the space was already used and dedicated to a studio space. So
Yeah.
we're like, didn't have to figure out a way to make it that in addition to any other repairs or whatever it was needed. It was already kind of
Right.
built and used for that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I would say like when looking at opening a studio, or if people have this desire to open an in-person studio space, like it probably goes without saying that the venue is going to be like for front and center primary focus. And I remember when I opened the studio in Vermont, the space that I found was it had been like a hair salon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And so it was so, like, not a whole lot had to be done to it, but what did have to be done was the removal of all of these, like, hair stations.
See, I was gonna say all the chairs.
Yeah,
and the, like,
so the chairs were already gone, but, like, the like the vanity with the plumbing in a couple places because of like hair washing station, and then the mirrors over each station were all up on the wall, and the walls kind of had damage because of that. But at least it was a big open, like when you think of like walking into a hair salon.
Yep.
It was a relatively inexpensive rental and a wide open space once you removed all of those little
details,
little stations that were everywhere. But finding a space is like, you want to look for essentially those things, like how many mats reasonably can you fit in a space, and is this going to work long term in regards to bringing in enough revenue to support the space.
Right.
So it's like number one question, and this space had it, and it had been a successful studio, so we felt like a lot of the legwork in that department was like we could trust that there was space for many bodies in this room.
Yep.
And the other room. Not that there isn't always the things about the space that you don't expect to.
Oh my god.
What do you think
into.
is the biggest thing that we experienced?
Oh gosh.
Matt has an opinion.
I mean, the one that came to mind was the heat.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I mean that's not even like.
Oh yeah.
Oh right.
Which was
right. Our furnaces
which
were
needed to be
not
taken
working.
care of and communicated with while you two were in Costa Rica for a month.
Yep.
It's true.
Yeah, because it doesn't really get cold here, right? Until
Right,
like
yeah, we could-
October. So
And silly us thinking that we rented a space where the furnace was working.
the furnaces, there were two,
Furnaces were working.
and neither were working.
Neither furnaces were working. Always test out the furnaces.
Test out the
I was like,
furnace.
this is what happened. They took the for rent sign down because people were going to rent it. They tested the furnaces. And then they were like, never mind. You don't have heat in this building. And the thing about New York State, I don't know if this is true other places, but New York State commercial property, like, it's as is. So if you're the tenant, you're responsible.
You are beholden to all the
Yeah.
issues that accompany.
Unless it says something differently and you negotiate something differently in your lease, which we did not.
No.
So that was a fun little hiccup.
Standard lease. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, the good news is that we moved from fossil fuels to electric, right? If we're thinking about sustainability and
Yep. We moved from gas to electric.
because we put in air source heat pumps.
Which, depending on where the electric is coming from, could
So true.
still be fossil fuels.
We're gonna say that we subscribe. I'm
Somehow
gonna check our.
tapped in.
I'm gonna check our NYSEG bill and check that box that says we want to use solar power.
We would
for
like to
our
find
electric.
the solar.
It is an option usually. I can look into it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
That's a good idea.
And I mean,
Is that mid-podcast directive you like to hear?
yeah, love that. Add it to my list.
Uh-huh.
And we have air conditioning now too. So
And look
go
at that,
us.
air conditioning too. Go us.
Yep.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the hiccups along the way because it did not dawn on me.
No,
Honestly,
because we opened in June, and wherever the sun hits, it was hot in here
It
then.
was
in
hot.
here,
It
yeah.
was. It felt very, and it also felt like relatively like it was maintaining a temperature too,
Right.
which
Right.
the reception area certainly does not.
doesn't feel like too drafty. Like in
Right.
the summer, it doesn't feel. Yeah.
Mhm.
Though it is pretty drafty
Yeah.
in the winter.
Didn't mean to jump the gun with the heat issue.
I mean, that's probably I feel like the whole heat electric, like that, the combo of those were really the biggest issue because it took us
Oh yeah.
6 weeks,
Yep.
8 weeks to get electricity in the
That's
space.
right.
Right.
You love it when NYSEGs or like something like that shows up, and we're like, well, it's like nothing to do about it. You can't get electricity here. It's too. Sorry, the walls won't let it.
No,
happen.
that was
That was
internet.
cable.
Oh,
that was the internet. They were like, nope, the walls are thick. I was like, what? What are you talking about?
Like,
They're
we
not
don't have
in-
a drill strong enough.
There were really wild things that went
like
on.
this- Walls are not made of like adamantium and mithril. Like this is just concrete.
Just
Get a drill.
concrete. What?
We're not
Also, there was Wi-Fi in this building before. Like you've got to be kidding me. And it's interesting because I think like had this space been used for something else, not a movement studio, I would have had like, I think I would have had more, you know,
like
just
more questions, more
concerns,
apprehensions,
more you know, like, does this work? Does this work? Does this work? But I was like, this was just open. I've been to classes there
3 years ago.
Ooh. Do you remember way back in the day that it was Ithaca Photo? Do you remember that?
I don't.
Oh,
I know.
I remember like coming here and picking up like film that had been developed with my mom's friend,
Oof.
Nancy.
Way to
Yeah.
date yourself, Nana.
I know. Like we dropped off the Cape Cod vacation film.
And just pray that they were all well taken
Pray
photos.
that anybody's in those photos. Yep, way back when. But yeah, if it had been a different business, I was so like, nah, it's gonna be great. It's all easy peasy. I think that the most comical part of opening up the space, now that it's not happening currently,
Well,
was
what's comedy but tragedy plus time?
was the epic battle for the mural on the outside of the building.
Oh yeah.
Oh, is that comedy?
It's comedy now. I mean,
Let's hear the story from your point of view.
my point of view, I wasn't even there. That's why it's funny to me, because I left. I left this battle. I was like, I can't be trusted with this conversation, so I'm going to leave. So we have these landlords who are in their 90s, 80s and 90s. And they do not do anything to take care of this building, but they have a lot of opinions about other people taking care of the building. The building on the outside, what is the color of our building?
Pea soup green?
I was gonna say puce.
Puce.
Is it puce?
Puce?
Puce-ish? What's puce? Maybe puce is too yellow.
It's like,
It's a
yeah,
dingy
it's like
army green. It's like a...
it's not a good look.
No, it's like
And they were definitely like, you cannot paint the whole building. So, and you can't put a sign on the side of the building.
Yeah.
So we needed something that was going to like call attention in. And Ithaca has this really cool thing that is like a nonprofit mural painting
Isn't
organization
it called Ithaca is Murals?
Ithaca's Murals.
I just,
Or just
Ithaca
Ithaca
Murals.
Yeah.
Ithaca Murals. Shout out. Ithaca
Shout
Murals.
out to Ithaca Murals.
I feel like we should shout out the place you taught in the bar. It was the Watershed
The watershed.
Yeah.
on State Street.
On State Street.
Shout out.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Well, the downstairs.
The
Downstairs,
downstairs.
right.
We
Of the
technically
Oh, okay.
taught at the
We're
downstairs.
in the basement.
And we knew that like we wanted to support this artist organization
And beautify our space.
Yeah.
And
have something cool that like represents the studio and is eye catching.
And granted, because I'm fourth gear, we had made all the plans and put a large down payment down. And the girl who was painting our mural for us
Came up from Philly.
And was on her way when the battle with the landlords occurred.
The battle. Where we arrived and we were like, we are painting a mural. And they were like, no, you're not. And we were like, yeah, we are.
Yeah.
And I was like, we already paid for this and we have an artist coming and we need to have something on the outside of the building that lets everybody know. And you already said no to a sign.
Yeah, we wanted to put a sign on. So we're on a one-way street. And we wanted to put a sign on the wall facing traffic,
Yeah.
but that's not officially our space. So that got shut down.
Yeah.
Yep. So the landlord decided to swear at me in Italian and I left the building.
She literally turned on her heel.
I did.
Which I'm thank you for doing that because you might have swallowed him whole
You're right.
and spit out his bones like an owl pellet.
Yep.
He's not a large man. So.
He's
I
not.
mean, you just
She
would have
could have.
soul devourer is what you just would have turned into.
I mean,
for an L.
I realize that there are things. I have tolerance for things and then I have like zero tolerance. Like it's there's just a list of things that this is my zero tolerance zone. And apparently one of them is being sworn at.
When you were riled up before we went in there, because you were just like incredulous that they were saying no to us about
Yes.
beautifying their building. So you
Like,
were already just
their
like,
building
ready to go.
I can't even express. Like I can't express that when the HVAC guy came to look at the air conditioning units on the roof, he was like, there are dead animals in here. Like this building was not like, you know, I could understand if people were like really invested, beautifying their property, taking care of everything, meticulous, like nothing has been taken care of in this building.
Yeah.
There was no heat.
There's
no heat.
There's no heat.
And so the simple fact that I was just like, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
You know, like, you're not taking care of this building. We're trying to. Help me help you.
Mm-hmm.
Help us help you.
Now, when you get that angry, I may have mentioned it before when we were talking about being step parents. Because I've seen it towards the children, and when I've seen it towards the children, they've all deserved it. That's what I guess I like. When you focus your anger like this on someone, they have had it coming for a while already, and you have pumped the brakes until
it's true.
you become fourth gear.
Thank you, honey.
Yes.
I pumped the brakes for so long.
You did, and this person had it coming. But you didn't. But you left and didn't have to eat their soul.
I was just like, we're done. We're out.
Yeah.
We're out. Give us our money back. We're leaving. Jessica was like, yeah, okay, this is where you downshifted.
This is where I downshifted.
We're like,
Yeah.
Well, it's that
whatever the
beautiful
sound effect is for downshifting.
Well, it's that beautiful like energy shift between people that we've talked about between you and I, where one of us is flipping out, one of us slips into the let's stay calm kind of role.
Jessica and I do that too.
Right. That's
Yeah.
what I mean. I think
Yeah.
it's an amazing thing is like when that happens without speaking and instinctively or reflexively or whatever.
Uh-huh.
It's a great partnership, and I've witnessed it here, and I've witnessed it between you two a couple
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're like, who's getting pissed?
Because we both have that.
We're like,
ability.
which one? You? Me?
You? Me?
I did it last time.
Yeah. Yeah. So Jeannie turned on her heel and walked out the door, and I spent about 20 minutes in that little office talking to the landlords who also, I mean, bless their hearts, they are born and raised in another country, and so while I think they've probably been here for 40 years, 50 years, like English is not their first language. Communication is made more difficult by that.
We did bring somebody with us that speaks fluent Italian, though.
Not that time, though.
No?
I was by myself in there.
Oh, that's right.
I was by myself in there.
That's right. That's right.
So I had to like draw out a picture on the back of a piece of paper for what we were going to do. And, you know, I like promised them that, of course, which I mean, to me, and again, this is where like I should sometimes watch my assumptions, because to me, I'm like, of course we'll paint over it if we leave. But you know what I mean? Like, it's like that only makes like that only makes sense. That's an integrity of like this.
And
we know that we are renting.
Of all things to change,
Yep.
the easiest thing to undo
is a paint job.
Paint job.
Right.
Well, not to mention the fact that if we left the building, we wouldn't want our name on the building anyway.
Right.
Because
I mean,
the
there's so many
building
reasons
Yeah.
why.
will not be taken care of.
Why,
So
yeah.
it's like, we got to paint over our name.
So
sure.
they, I mean, there was crying.
Oh,
Not on my
yes.
part.
No.
There was crying.
No.
There was lamenting of the war. There was
World War
like,
II
Yeah, there was
in Italy.
there was a lot of
Well, I mean,
emotion
that
and
just seems a
energy.
really odd thing to bring up at that time.
Well, you know, emotions were high on many people's parts.
Okay.
So, but my absolute favorite part after talking them down, and it was really funny because I had given like some sort of paperwork to them that I had to pick up, and it had gotten like crumpled up. And,
He
like,
crumpled up the paper like a child
like one of our
man.
tax papers. He like crumpled it up and like threw it across the room, and so I'm like getting ready to walk out the door, and I'm like, can I have that paper, please? And the wife is taking it and just smoothing it back out.
Oh my God! Like a
before she hands it to me.
like a freshman with their homework. It's like, is this okay? Is this
So
all right?
then I go out and I climb into the car with Jeannie, who has been fuming
Mm-hmm.
by herself for 20 minutes, and she's like, "We're not renting from them."
I was like, I'm going to set fire to this building.
Yeah, you get bombastic when you get angry.
I do.
And
You
I
do.
was like, "Oh, we are. We are." All that work was not for naught.
Right. We are not
I was
renting
like,
here.
I was like, fine. I am never talking to them again.
That we can do. Right.
Because
we
he
can do.
literally was like, "Do you see how my wife behaves?" And I was like,
That's true. Those words were said.
he's like, "This is how women are supposed to behave."
You see,
and I was
now-
like, I'm going to bury you in the backyard.
So for me, I would not even have gone into the like defending, being like, "Hey, what? That's not okay. We don't talk to people or my wife that way." I would have like kind of taken a step back, gotten my spiritual bucket of popcorn, and be like, "Oh, this is gonna be so good. Oh, I can't wait."
It was not going to be good.
Ugh.
So I left.
Would have been great to watch.
And
and we have
it's been great.
it's been great.
And you know what? At the end of the day, there's a beautiful mural
There
of
is a beautiful mural.
of a snake on the wall.
We
And
also
a
got to
lotus.
battle about putting in new heaters,
Uh-huh.
which is hilarious. And now we have beautiful new heaters. And so it's been an interesting ride. Like, it's the parts of, opening a new part of your business, a new chapter of your business, that as it's all unfolding, you're like, what were we thinking? What were we thinking? Everything was going so well. Why did we add to the things we were doing?
It's like we opened the fridge and just threw everything on the floor.
We threw everything on the floor.
There's a mess to clean up.
And then, you get far enough through those parts of it and you're like, thank God we have this space. I had that thought so clearly last night after restorative yoga. And I have that thought frequently of just like being in space and being in community. But I think like initially we can get wrapped up in, we can do this and we know we can do this because we know that we can do anything.
Mm.
It's a thing that we have.
Uh-huh.
And not quite like the pump the brakes of, are we sure this is the next step? And maybe you just never are sure if it's the next step.
Yeah, I mean, from watching from outside that piece, I mean, at least with you two, there seems to be, I mean, there's pumping the brakes, there's discussing, there's are we sure, but once like the course is set, it is like set and seen through.
Yeah.
Like always,
Yeah.
despite it's, I mean, you slide into the idea where like everything is figure outable.
Yep.
We'll figure it out. We decided we want to do this. It's going to get done, and done very well too.
Thanks, Matt. I know it's kind of like we're on a track. We're like not on a road, we're actually on a track.
Yeah.
You
Like
can't
that,
actually,
like when we were in that thing on the railroad
yeah,
tracks
that was so
together.
fun.
What were those things called?
I don't know. It's like rail cars or something.
We should do that again.
We should do that again.
It was
Where was
really
that?
fun.
When
we went to Dave
see
Matthews.
And I was like, well, this is going to be a real adventure. So we went and,
And
did
on the
these,
way
like,
back,
they were like bike rail trails.
also, we spent the night that night in a camper.
Yep.
That we rented on Airbnb.
in somebody's driveway.
In someone's driveway.
Oh
It
my
was so funny. And then we left the Airbnb and it's like these carts, open carts.
yeah.
that
Like
are-
almost like a, like think like go-kart meets like those things that you saw in the cartoons where they're like
Pumping
pumping
Yeah,
the,
like
up
yeah.
and
this-
down that gets you
Uh-huh.
There's like a lever, and two people are on either side of it. One goes up, one goes
on
down.
railroad tracks.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like think of that, but if you're sitting down like in a
Okay.
go-kart
And you're
pedaling.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're
You're
pedaling. Yep.
Which we were sort of pedaling.
I know they really actually. It was
Do you
You
pedal?
have to do a whole lot of pedaling.
Did you
No.
pedal this thing like you row a kayak?
100%.
So not at all.
I mean, I did because like people weren't running in, like you're in a line of other
Right,
people.
right.
And no
Yeah.
one was like running into us. But I just kept chilling and like I'm taking pictures of
Sounds
stuff and I'm like, ooh, that's mullein and like that's this plant and that's this plant. This is
Someone's
over by
behind you like,
Cooperstown.
God damn it.
No.
no, because I was pedaling.
Jessica's pedaling. But you never yelled at me, so I wasn't
no,
slacking,
it wasn't.
super slacking.
It was not. There was like this. They're like electric adjacent or something. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like they're like it's the type of thing where like
You get
Yeah.
going,
you get going and it kind of
Right.
like goes itself.
I mean,
yeah.
you weren't yelling. I give it 2 or 3 more goes, then you'd be like, for crying out loud.
Because the people that
Please.
were behind us was a husband and a wife, and so you get to a spot where you stop and you all get out and they put the carts on these things that turn them back around so you could go back. Obviously, you need to return to where you parked. And the wife was like, see, I just kept telling him, she's not pedaling. They're still moving forward because I just kept stopping. And we were continuing to go. So.
I think too, like I think one of the seats was like the more like
powerful
driver, and I might have been in that one, and maybe she was in that one, and then like
if our go-karting days are any indication, you should always be the one in the driver's seat.
I love to go. We're going go-karting.
I know we're gonna go again for Wi-Fi fun.
That's another episode. YFI fun.
Yeah, we'll get to talk about it
The
right
morale
after.
boost. Yeah.
Yeah. So we tend to move forward, and then of course once we've made a commitment to something, we're going to see that thing through. Neither of us have a copious amount of air that's going to distract us from the course that we've set.
True.
And you know, I think that the other important thing for anybody listening who's like, oh, I think I want to open a studio space, is like we're in this weird in between time, right? Of people thinking they want to do, they really think they want to do classes in person. I think this is a genuine, I want to take a yoga class at a studio with other people. I missed doing that.
Right.
And when it comes down to it, taking a yoga class in your PJs in your living room because you just turned on Zoom is a very convenient way.
I was just going to say they gotten super comfy.
Yep.
Super comfy. You know, like you didn't go home after work, cook dinner for the fam, and then look at your watch and be like, I need to get back in the car and go down to the studio. Change my clothes. Like I can just go in my spare room.
Yep.
Roll out a mat and do a yoga class. Like, and I get that. I totally understand that. And I think that this is also true for people who are like, I want to teach in person. Like there's all of this, I want to teach in person, but we have forgotten the structure around teaching in person. Or new yoga teachers that are out there have never experienced what it's like. Like you are making a 12-week commitment at least to teaching a class every single week. You are committing to showing up no matter what the weather is, because weather happens, right? Like you have to get in your car, you have to drive to a venue, you have to get the room set up, you have to clean up the room, like all of these pieces that as a teacher, you know, there's other difficulties with teaching online as far as technology and sound and lighting and making sure everything is set up. But for the most part, you're doing that in the comfort of your own home. And again, you can slide out of bed on a Saturday morning and 10 minutes later you're live in Zoom teaching a class. You can't do that when you commit to teaching in person. So I think it's just something that is important to take into consideration when you're like, oh, it'd be so great, because also running a yoga studio is a 7-day-a-week venture. You know, you don't have weekends off. You're working and their classes need to happen when other people are not working. So this is evenings, this is weekends, this is vacations, this is national holidays. This is like all of these aspects that I think that people get all wrapped up in the like, ooh, in person, I get to like see my students and we get to be chanting together, which is all amazing. But you have to weigh those two things as far as like what you value in your field of teaching the most. Do you want to be in person with people? That's one thing, comes with a bunch of stuff. Or do you want to have the convenience of being in your home? And, you know, even if you're teaching at night, you end the class, close the computer, walk downstairs, have dinner.
Right.
It's a totally different vibe.
Which honestly, I think it seems like that would be a draw and a positive. I don't know, man. For me, a lot of times the drive home after something is as important as the thing, because it's like integration time. It's like your brain is like processing what you just did and thinking about it. It's like the way I compare that to is I've had commutes to work that have been 40 minutes and some that have been 10 minutes. I like the 41 better because it's like I settled into this, like, it's like you're decompressing and like your brain is kind of going over the day. And if it's under 10 or 15 minutes, sometimes it's like you haven't even calmed down, and it's this different like kind of energy. And I always really, whenever I'm a hermit too, and I don't like leaving the house a lot of times if I don't really have to, but especially to do things with in the presence of other people. But a lot of times, like, the ride home is sometimes one of the better parts because it's like the thinking about it,
And I think it turns the page too, right? It like the separation of spaces. I mean, we've been working from home forever. It seems like now, and some days I'm like, I don't want to eat dinner at my kitchen table because I've been working here all day,
Yes,
and so
exactly.
Close the door, open a new door.
Which is, honey, what you were saying about like the type of work, which like 7 days a week. And that in conjunction with the very, very little separation between home and work, it's really hard because that, again, I think of like I created our little happy hour to like make a break, say work is now over, even though we're still home and this is where we do all our work.
The work hasn't gone anywhere. It's sitting right there on the counter.
And being able to even come here just to do work is, a nice separation. That we have kind of lost, but like don't have as much,
Yeah. What's your favorite part about having the studio space?
Oh, it's definitely the interaction of people. It's the opposite of Matt's. It's the opposite of whatever Matt says. I mean, because I am definitely an extrovert, and I am someone who, I mean, granted, I was just talking yesterday about the days that I come to the studio, I feel like I get nothing done because there's so much distraction, but being able to have that time in community. And again, for me, because I'm not front house, right? I'm not teaching. I'm not in the classrooms. I'm not in those Zooms. The energy exchange that you get when you're in person, which I think is a bonus, right? For people that want to open a studio or thinking about opening a studio. There's an energy exchange when you're in person. It's real.
Yeah, it's definitely true. I mean, it was just so sweet last night. I was subbing a class. I don't usually teach on Tuesday nights. So I was subbing a restorative class. And, it's, if you haven't done restorative yoga before, it's like an awake, supported, cozy yoga nap time. Like,
in my experience, it's half awake. The other half, I actually fall asleep.
Other half, you're snoring.
Yeah, that's not unusual.
And like, there's parts of it. I mean, in teaching restorative online versus in person is a very stark difference.
Right. That's
because
you're right. I wouldn't think those translates as well online.
Yeah.
Like a vinyasa flow.
Yeah.
You can see that working. Kundalini, definitely.
You can't assist people the way that you can in person to get in their little cozy positions. And like, you're spending most of the time that you're teaching a restorative class, like, just noticing where people's bodies are not comfortable and then going over to them and like finding another prop, another blanket, another thing that's going to support that part of their body. So you get to do this thing, which I love when I teach restorative, which is like you get to tuck people in.
Yeah.
You're basically like tucking people in for a nap every like 15 minutes. You get to go around and do another little tuck in. So I love it. And it just feels very nurturing and very sweet. And like, where in adult lives do we get tucked in? Maybe when we're injured. Where else in your adult life do you get tucked in by somebody else? Like maybe if you're sick or injured and someone's taking care of you, but for the most part, people don't come around and tuck you in. But after class, this adorable human was just kind of like hanging out and seemed reluctant to like leave the space. And it's late. I mean, it's late for me. It's 8:30 when class ends, and then by the time I like put everything away and fold all the blankets and like clean up and get ready to head out, and essentially they were just like, I was looking online and I've been looking for a community that feels like queer friendly and welcoming and inclusive and accessible. And then I also found out where you guys were and found out that you were in like the path of the eclipse. So I drove up to check out the town and the eclipse and like to come here for class. And, they just were like tearful and emotional and wanted hugs. And I was just like, this is the cutest thing ever. And like, where do you where in life is that a completely normal thing to happen? You know, like I sent you a text. I was like, I just left. There were tears. I'll be home late. Like, that's not an anomaly.
And
true.
it's also not like, I feel like if you sent that text from your corporate job, we'd be like, oh shit.
You're right.
It wouldn't be because of sweetness. It would be because like.
And I got to say my favorite quote to this person because they were very embarrassed that they were crying, and they kept apologizing for like crying and being emotional because they'd never been here before. They've never been to Ithaca before. They don't know me. They don't know anything about us. And like they're crying in our reception area. And I was just like, crying is as important as shitting.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, that's funny. That was not. I thought it was going to be something along the lines of like all water is healing.
Nope.
And like, nope. Okay.
Nope. And they were like, oh my God, I love that quote so much. And I was like, yeah.
Oh my God.
Pulled it out in the right moment.
Yes. Can't
My
believe you said
audience.
that. I can't believe you said that.
Why?
No, I can. I can.
You can't believe I said it to the student, or you can't believe I just said it on the podcast? 'Cause now it has to be explicit.
No, well, they're always going to be explicit.
Okay.
But that's all right.
That's probably true.
Oh, man. Crying? Yeah, I guess so. I don't cry nearly as often as I poop, though. You know what? Well, it's not every day. It's like when you see The Undertaker show up at WrestleMania.
I can't believe you keep talking about this.
Well, it made me tear up.
You got tears?
Oh, my God.
Aww.
I didn't even watch the whole thing. I was just watching clips on like TikTok and Instagram. And it's like The Rock was standing over someone, and it's like he's like about to like do something, and the guy's like on the ground or on the mat or whatever, and then the lights hit, and you hear like The Undertaker's his intro music was a bell. Like it started off with a bell, like gong. So like you hear that sound, and then the lights went out. People went bananas, and people are showing clips of themselves like, oh, we're just watching WrestleMania, and the bell sounds. People are losing. Like there's clips of grown men crying, and I'm like, this is the whole thing I'm thinking about. Like what? Why? I mean, I get it because it's like I am tearing up when the Undertaker. Like, that's the Undertaker's music because he's been a wrestler since I was 10 years old.
Oh my God.
Okay, I was gonna say like I know nothing about wrestling. So like, has he been out of the scene for a while?
I think he
like.
Yeah, he's been out of the scene for a while, but it was huge, like in the early 90s.
But it was like almost like if a childhood star.
Oh, it was like
decided to go on tour. Like they haven't gone on tour in 20
it was
years,
like
and,
if if you walked downstairs and saw Santa Claus, it was like, here's a present for you. You've been a good guy this year. Oh my God. It's the same thing. If Superman showed up.
Okay.
I'm saying.
Superman, Santa, and the Undertaker. You heard it here, folks. This is a Venn diagram.
They are just three circles that just all overlap.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Well, it sounds like you had a connection with this person, which is the whole point of the studio,
and
right?
it just like not only felt like I'm so glad that this person felt comfortable coming to the studio, like
That they found us.
they found us.
Yeah.
And, you know, part of it was that they were very clear that part of this little pilgrimage to Ithaca was also about finding like a queer inclusive community because where they live is not. And that they don't feel like they have a community culture, access to other people who, you know, present and identify in the ways that they do. And it just, I mean, we are big fans of Ithaca.
We are.
We
We are.
you know, we could start an Ithaca fan club, I think, in a lot of ways. I think that you are on board.
Oh, 100%.
Being a
He's
fan
got
of
his
Ithaca.
card.
Oh, yeah.
He has his
1000%.
card.
7 years in.
I earned it the day I started complaining about the students coming back.
Yeah. Yeah, you
It
did.
was late. It was
Our
mid.
town wouldn't exist if it wasn't for this.
Oh, it was
It would
mid-August.
be like Utica or something.
It was mid-August, and I just thought like there was more traffic around the library, like that area, like downtown. I'm like, what in the name of sweet is? Oh, I looked at my. Oh, it's August. They're back.
They're back.
Which I'm like, I hate that they're back, but they also make it so this place can exist and have the things that I love.
Yep.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, disclaimer, Utica, I'm sure you're fine. Don't listen to her.
All of our Utica fans. Yes.
Don't worry. If we
great.
just pause. I'm going to take that whole part out.
And I think like I don't want to say that I took Ithaca for granted because I didn't. When I moved away and I was living 4-ish hours away from here, Ithaca never stopped being home.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to keep coming back. And I would have to come back at least twice a year, or I felt like sad about missing Ithaca. And I'm not saying that Ithaca is a perfect place. I'm not saying that Ithaca has figured everything out. There's much that needs to be done. And many, many things that need to be worked on and figured out in regards to Ithaca being as progressive as it wants to pretend that it is.
Yep.
But there is something magic about this space, this geographical space. There's also something very magic about how quickly community can be found and formed here, because it is a very transient town.
Yeah.
There are people who come in to work at the colleges and they're here temporarily. There are people who come in, like this is a stopover point in their life before they figure out where they're really going to land. And being able to integrate, this is not the type of town where it's like, oh, well, you're not a local.
Right.
So,
Right, yeah.
Because literally half the town isn't locals.
right, right. And you do belong here. You can belong here really quickly, where I think there's a lot of places in the world that if like you didn't grow up there, your parents didn't grow up there, like there's a like, oh, you're an outsider. Doesn't matter how long you settle in and how much you participate.
I mean, I will say that the place we moved from, I lived there for 10 years.
Yep.
I wasn't from there. And I felt more included, part of the community after half the time here
Yeah.
than I would have 10 more years there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. So there's just something really special about Ithaca. And
Ithaca is special.
and and of course, like, it's the most beautiful place for 5 months out of the year. The waterfalls and the gorges and the lake, and just being able to be in this perfect balance between anything that you need is pretty much at your fingertips. It's a small city. you know?
Yeah.
Like where we lived before, we used to have to drive like 40 minutes to go get Thai food.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like literally 40
Anything
minutes.
that we would have to drive to Albany or
Yeah.
Troy is
Yep. Or Massachusetts.
or
We have to go down
Massachusetts,
into
right?
Williamstown.
Is downtown.
Yeah.
If I was a superhero, Ithaca is the size of the city that I could handle.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, small city, but
Small
small
city.
nonetheless. I could handle it.
Small
Yeah.
city.
Yeah.
And within the city and right outside it is like every single beautiful nature, be in the remote wilderness space that you could ever want to. Places to hike, places to boat, places to paddleboard.
Like swim. Yeah, I just was looking up Ithaca statistics for the website for our hometown weekends, which we'll talk about in a second, and 150 waterfalls.
150.
Look at that.
Within like however far from Ithaca, within the Ithaca area.
150 waterfalls.
Can you do a waterfall crawl?
I think we should.
With shots.
Okay.
Well, we can call it a waterfall tour if we just drive around and look at them. We'll call it a waterfall crawl if we get a DD and then some spirits.
Some spirits. I mean, I can just DD.
You can, yeah.
Oh,
Thanks, Jeannie.
All right.
I can just DD.
YFI fun.
What my fun?
But that would be really fun to do. Like, I mean, Sabrina would totally be on board. We could all like pile in the car and do like, how long will it take us to do all 150 waterfalls?
Well, I mean, I don't even know if we have access to 150 waterfalls because
Why?
probably a lot of them are like private property and stuff. But let's say I think we could.
You can't own
easily
a waterfall.
do- Oh, okay.
That's God's water. You can't own the water. It's God's water.
We'll tell Farmer John that as we traipse
totally-
across his
Sabrina
cow
will.
pasture. Yeah.
Sabrina will be like, "Hi."
I was just quoting Super Troopers.
Yes.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Good job, babe.
I missed it. Sorry. But I think we could probably say we could do 15 or 25 waterfalls. We could do a little tour.
The four of us.
Yeah.
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 We're gonna
Oh,
do it.
yeah. That seems like felt like 15 to
15.
not overdo it, to not
Yeah.
to have to do
It's not
enough.
even 50%.
10. It's
75.
Okay.
5%.
Why is there a rush? Is there
No.
Oh.
Until like we just are. We're just gonna.
Is this a summer goal or are we
We're
going to
just
try to
gonna
do it one
track
day?
it and see. No. Like over a long period of time.
Over the summer.
How long would it take us to see as many of them as
many.
we could?
So maybe what we should do is give ourselves a time frame.
Okay.
Like between June 1st and August 31st. How many
Yeah,
waterfalls?
See how
like
many
Labor
we can-
Day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Memorial Day to Labor Day.
Unofficial
to
summer
Labor Day.
dates?
Yeah.
Well, really?
And then we'll post it on social media.
Mm-hmm.
And, it'll
See, now
we'll be doing hard work.
I think I think you need to go through Halloween because I'm sure foliage would be great.
Foliage. Well,
Wow.
except we're leaving.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't making fun of foliage. That was my
You
British.
sure about that?
That was my British foliage.
Sounded like you were making fun
Great.
from these ends of the table.
Wow.
Wow, no. I was not making fun of foliage.
There's a
I
British
love-
person in Utica who's very unhappy right now.
So pissed at us right now.
So you talked about hometown weekend?
Yeah.
What is that? This is the maybe third or fourth time I've heard of it, but don't know anything about it.
I'm so excited because, as Jeannie mentioned, I love Ithaca. I just love Ithaca, and I
love
want
Ithaca.
to share it with anyone and everyone. I've always been such a champion of it. Granted, I also love to travel. We've talked about that before,
Yes.
but I love that this is my home base where I get to come back to. So we're going to do 2 hometown weekends this summer. We're going to do one in June and one in August, and they are 2-night, 3-day. Multitude of kind of choose your own adventure activities,
Classes at the studio,
studio
workshops, events happening out and about town.
Yep, highlights, real type of adventures.
So is this for people, coming out of town for a week, coming into town for a weekend to kind of showcase some things about Ithaca we like while also doing some yoga at the studio type stuff?
Exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
right
Yep,
on.
you nailed it.
Nailed it.
And you said when are they? Are they set in stone? Do we know when they are?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
Reggae Fest weekend. So June 21st, 22nd, 23rd
Yep.
okay.
is the first one.
Nice.
And that one will be focused on community and music. And getting to see some of my favorite parts of Ithaca, namely Stewart Park and the downtown area, and of course visit the studio and get to do some workshops and hang out with fellow alumni, current students, former students, and all of us who work and goof around here.
Goof around.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I do, according to you.
Never has she ever said that.
So June, when's the second one you said?
August 9th through the 11th.
Okay.
And that one, because Reggae Fest isn't happening
Right.
twice this summer,
All right.
that one will showcase a little bit more we'll do a farmer's market tour. We'll hit up some of the local state parks.
Local food
Local
vibes
food
that we
vibe.
love.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, as we see kind of what Ithaca has to offer on those weekends too. We'll kind of, and it will be really come to some of it, come to all of it. Different studio and yoga farm staff will be leading things. So it's maybe you're going to take a hike up the gorge with Josh, or you can do a farmer's market tour with me, or who knows,
Nice.
It'll be really fun.
Really
Is
fun.
this featured on the website anywhere yet?
Not yet.
It will be by the end of the week.
Okay.
So by the time this podcast is out, it should be on the website. We did send an email, a save the date. So folks that are on our
Okay.
newsletter, if you're not on our newsletter, get on our newsletter. It's a
All
great
right.
way to find out what's happening. Yeah.
And check out the website because there'll be tons of information.
Yeah.
And I love, one of the things that I love about Ithaca on the long list is the walkability of downtown Ithaca. And so where the studio is located, and we have a giant parking lot. It's a very important thing. It really is.
As a
It is.
middle-aged
It is.
man, I can appreciate
Yeah.
the parking.
I mean, the other night when we were what are we having for dinner? Where do we want to stop? Where do we want to where do you want to go to dinner? And I was so annoyed because where I actually wanted to go to dinner doesn't have really convenient parking. And
No.
it was raining. And so I
Right.
immediately turned into an 85-year-old woman, and I'm I can't do it.
Where'd you want to go?
I wanted to go to Asia cuisine.
I mean, the parking garage is probably the best bet.
Yeah, it is. It's right there. So that
But
I-
it's not parking like our parking.
it's not parking like our
True.
parking. But the thing about Ithaca is if you park here at the studio, you can walk to so many places downtown,
Right.
really quickly. I was thinking the other day, because I had taken Sabrina out the studio, down around by Wide Awake Bakery, walked down to the farmer's market,
Yep.
did the waterfront trail, and then popped back over from Green Star Purity area. Like this whole loop of seeing multiple things that are fun.
Yep.
Red Feet's over there, Wide Awake. But I was it's really easy to walk from here to Ithaca Falls, which is a 500-foot waterfall right in downtown Ithaca.
Or
It's
Cascadilla Gorge.
bananas.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
another whole
Yep.
gorge up the side of the
We
hill.
could walk to both of those waterfalls from the studio so easily.
Yeah.
Probably within 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And this is Jeannie walking pace.
Right. This is
Yeah.
me walking pace.
So it's
Yeah.
which is
not
like,
far.
Which is
to
like
walk.
an
You don't get far in-
elephant. Elephant walk.
You don't get far in 20 minutes.
We're kissing the ground with our feet when we walk.
It's so funny.
It's very
For
mindful.
how slow I do everything,
I know.
I walk really fast.
And it
It's
drives
really
you
weird.
absolutely crazy that I do not.
Does a little bit.
Yeah.
I used to see married couples and like the husband is 10 to 15 yards ahead of the wife. I'm like, geez, man, what are you doing? I get it now. I just get it. There's a time where you're like, we'll meet at the place. I have to walk at my pace. I'm sorry and I
ridiculous.
love you.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Can I say the things I love?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the library is magnificent.
Yeah, it
I
is.
love the library. I love the book sale, which is in
Very soon.
if you have the time there's 3 weekends in May, 3 weekends in October. I just love the fact that there's a whole building dedicated to this book sale, and that's all this gigantic warehouse of a building is. Twice a year for 3 weekends. Love it.
And
Every
it's
time.
like a block from the studio.
Yep. Yeah.
block
I
from
mean,
the studio.
I look out the front door and you could see it. Yeah. It's amazing. And the
Anything else that you love
Oh,
about
food. The fact that I could have a gyro, I could get some Indian food buffet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Asian cuisine, which
Yeah.
I do like. I mean, Thai food.
Mhm.
It's all here. You
Yeah.
don't have to drive an hour to get it.
Mm-hmm.
It's fantastic.
And it's good.
It's very good. The
We just
furthest
have
thing,
a Turkish restaurant, which is a major
Right.
bummer.
the furthest thing we have to drive for is fish fry.
It's true.
That's still only 20 minutes.
Well, we probably don't, but the fish fry that we prefer.
Oh, that's right.
Because you can
Maxie's
get
has.
fish fry at Maxie's.
Oh,
you
yeah.
can get fish fry. You can.
I do like
You get
that
fish fry at the Royal Court.
We have not ever gone to. He's never
We
gone
should
to
do
the
that.
Royal Court.
We
We really
should.
should.
Yeah,
We should
put on
do
the
that.
list.
We
We're
should.
shouting out lots of places.
We
too.
are.
This is fun.
Woo!
Non-sponsored,
Well, and
but
Doug's, right, is what we're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah,
They do
that-
pop-ups, though.
Yeah,
You
they
can
do.
get it every
That's
once in a
right.
while
They
Yeah.
do. You know, we should get Doug's to come to a pop up like
in our parking lot
in our parking lot for some unknown reason, just for funsies.
Tuesday.
for Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Just a Tuesday,
Just
Doug's.
a fish fry Tuesday.
Anything else about the studio space, like that we want to talk about briefly? Wrap it up. I think we kind of hit a lot about what were some challenging aspects of starting the studio.
Well,
I think also we talked about a lot of what we love about it too.
I think it's easy to know what you're going to love about it. You know, like when you go into a labor of love, like opening a yoga studio or a business that your heart is so invested in, like it's easy to go to, we're going to get to have this event and we're going to have movie nights and we're going to hang out together and we're all going to eat lunch at the front desk and it's going to be like chatsy time before classes. And like, it's so easy to fill the space with that. And then there are the real life elements of having a brick and mortar, for lack
right.
of another word. And I think that what's tricky always in yoga business is that balance of like, we want to be in flow. We want to be in alignment. We want to honor like our rhythms and our proclivities in our lives. And you are running a business. You are in service to other people who are trusting you to show up and do the things that you say you're going to do. So you have to strike that balance of operating through linear time, being sustainable financially, sticking to a schedule once you've made it. Like the things that tend to be hard for a lot of people who work within the field that we work in. I mean, I just can't even count how many times I stopped going to yoga studios through the years because I would show up I would get a babysitter, show up for a class because I saw it on a schedule hung up somewhere, and then that class wasn't happening. And, you know, like, as much as we can say, like, well, people need to check the website, like, a lot of times we don't, you know, like you
Right,
see an
yeah.
advertisement somewhere, you're like, oh, I can finally make it to that class that I've been meaning to go to
right, you've
for
like had
months.
it in the back of your mind for months,
Right?
and,
And
then
you
the
had to
time
figure it
comes
out. And then you get there and you're like, oh, you know, like all. So, I mean, it is a balance of being both in that space of creative flow and energy and alignment and yogic practices, and also the very real aspects of running a business and people trusting you with their money, their membership, their schedules, their free time, like things that are very precious, that you want to be in integrity in that exchange.
And it's not a small I mean, you can have a small yoga studio. You can have a yoga studio that's only open 3 days a week, I suppose.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you have this, if that's what you have the space for, and you can make that work. But for us, because accessibility is always at the foundation of what we're trying to do, you know, having a studio that was open 7 days a week with multiple different time slots is really important. And so you're working with a lot of people. It's not like a 3-person business.
No.
You know, we've got probably 20 people,
20 teachers. Yep.
that we are working with and organizing and supporting. So yeah, it is a lot. And I would say, like, hopefully nobody is deterred if this is your dream.
I don't think anybody gets deterred when it's really their like dharma, you know.
Because it's amazing. It's amazing.
It really is.
We're making magic here.
And most importantly, we have a space where our online students, our alumni, like people who we've been in community with for years, finally get to come and be in the space. And we have students who, I mean, we had a student just this past weekend, like people are driving to Ithaca from 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 hours away to spend the weekend here, come to classes at the studio, get to meet their teachers that they've only seen online, and like feel like they're visiting their school.
Their school, right?
Yeah.
They're
So
home.
Amazing.
They're
Yeah.
home.
They're home.
Well, I just say I am always, every time I come in, at some point, there's a moment where I'm just in awe of what has been accomplished. So my hat off to you guys, because I didn't do a fraction of the work that you guys put into this. So
You put together a lot of furniture.
continue. Yeah, I did.
You
That's
did.
okay.
Every time a box arrived, you're
Yeah.
like,
there was. He was like, oh my god, another freaking chair or shoe rack. Oh my god. But no, seriously, I just always it's so impressive, and I'm just in awe of what we guys have done. It's amazing.
Thanks, Matt.
you're the best.
All right, for YFIPod, this is Matt.
This is Jeannie.
This is, I lost mine.